What's up, guys? In this video, I want to talk a little bit about Connor Murphy and his situation that's going on right now. So let's get into it. Connor Murphy is a fitness YouTuber. He's got about 3 million subscribers and is a super popular guy. And he's been making some videos lately where he's showing increasing levels of emotional disturbance, let's call it, extreme anxiety and mental stress, really. And I just want to talk about that because it's kind of blowing up right now. He's talking about ending it all and killing himself. I don't know if he said those words, but he's saying, like, this is goodbye, this is the end, stuff like that, where you combine those factors. Like, okay, this guy's obviously stressed out. Now he's talking about this is goodbye, this is the end. That's something that needs to be addressed. Now, in the beginning of his videos, he'll say stuff like, this is just acting, I'm just acting. And what I've heard is that the reason for that is because he doesn't want YouTube to take down his videos. Because if you say, this is just acting, I'm just acting, it's like, oh, I wasn't serious about all that stuff I said about killing myself right now. I was just acting. Because what I think is that this whole thing is like a cry for help for him, because he's experiencing such high levels of emotional stress that he's like really actually like asking for help, but doesn't want to actually explicitly ask for help because of what that implies, right? It's kind of like bad stigma. So if you do it in this roundabout way, you can, if you want, you can go back afterwards and be like, oh, I was just kidding about that. That was just a joke, right? If he is able to kind of recover behind closed doors. Okay, so that said, I don't think that is what's happening at all. I'm just explaining the situation. And I'm going to give my opinion on his mindset, even though I don't know him personally, but from what I've seen, I'm going to give my opinion on his thought process and why I think he's experiencing this and what he can do to change his outlook to alleviate this emotional stress. I kind of hope he watches this video. I highly doubt he will, because I'm sure he's got better things to do. But if you are experiencing something similar, albeit to a lesser extent, you might potentially find these concepts helpful if you actually want to get over your emotional not feeling goodness and don't want to just like wallow in self-pity, no offense. Okay, so first things first, if somebody talks about killing themselves, it needs to be addressed. And they don't explicitly need to say, I'm going to commit suicide, I'm going to kill myself. It's enough for them to say in vague terms that they're going to end it all, or this is goodbye, stuff like that. If somebody talks like that, you need to do something, right? If you care about that person at all, even just as a human to human level, like you need to tell somebody else, you need to tell their family, you need to tell their friends, like, and even if you don't think they'll do it, really, like somebody needs to be told so that this person, so that it kind of becomes out in the open, and that if they're actually serious, they can get the attention they need to get over it. And if they're not serious, if they're just kind of casually saying it to like get attention, which happens, to be fair, like don't jump on me for saying that. But when you throw stuff out there like that, people are going to pay attention to you. But it'll weed out the people who aren't serious from the ones who are. Okay, so like, again, hope that doesn't make any of you sad. Like you're already typing your angry reply. But that needs to be addressed, right? For those reasons. Number two, if I had the sound turned down on his videos when I was watching them, I would have thought that he was experiencing drug withdrawals, right? Withdrawal symptoms from stopping taking a drug. I don't know enough about this guy to say if he's a junkie or not, and if he's like withdrawing from heroin or something, or coke or crack or like whatever. I don't think that's the case. But if I had the sound off and I watched him, and I watched his behavior, I would say that potentially that's what it could be. I don't think that's it. He doesn't look like a junkie, doesn't strike me as a junkie. So let's put that off to the side as well. Okay, so what we're left with, right, is that is like, okay, he's not acting, he's not a junkie, he's coming off of some drugs. What we're left with is that his mindset, his mentality, his attitude, you could say, there's a flaw in there that is leading him to react like this. Because if you think about it, right, his reality is not so different than everybody else's reality. You wake up in the morning, the sun shines, you get up, you do whatever you do in the day, you eat, you drink, you shit, piss, like talk to people, whatever. The end, like the basic human experience for everyone is not really that different, right? We all kind of are the same on that level. However, for him, he has a set of beliefs that are causing him incredible stress because in his mind, he's looking at these exact same things that we're all looking at. Maybe not the exact same things, but the same behaviors, the normal human behaviors that we all experience on a daily basis. He's looking at those things and he's thinking to himself, and that means this awful thing, right? Like, and from what I saw in one of his videos, he was talking about he tripped on ayahuasca and he died and like he came back to life. Then he started talking about, he was talking to his parents and he's like, and mom, that means that you'll see your dad again. And like, just really kind of, I don't want to say incoherent because that technically makes sense, but the type of things that like somebody really like somebody who does psychedelics, somebody who does drugs who shouldn't have done drugs, some people can't handle it, and that's because their beliefs are too rigid, you could say. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. The point of this, which is what I said earlier, I think, is that this mindset, this mentality is ultimately a selfish mindset. Because when you're depressed like this or experiencing extreme anxiety, it's because you're focused on yourself. You're focused on yourself, you see a situation and you react to it negatively because you're like, oh my God, this situation happened. And that means it's bad and it's going to affect my life in this way and it's going to impact me in this way. And you don't understand me and my opinion is this and I feel like this and it's all about me, I, this isn't fair. And like, again, I don't, when people do this, and we all do it to varying degrees, anytime you experience some sort of, even just getting angry with somebody, right? Somebody does something and it irritates you or it angers you. It's because of the same process, right? Where you think to yourself, this thing happened, and that means somehow I'm going to be negatively affected or I'm negatively affected in some way. And the common thread through all of these is that it's a selfish mindset, is that you're only thinking about yourself. So like, yeah, it sucks that the dude is talking about this and I would feel awful if something did happen, especially after making this video. It's definitely a risk for me. But you got to call a spade a spade. And when you are experiencing extreme emotional stress like this, it's because the focus is on yourself. And if you shift the focus, and this is the solution, by the way, if you shift the focus to other people or to somebody else, then one could make the argument that you will not feel like this because the focus is not on you. If you actually legitimately shift the focus. I'm not saying like, oh, I still feel really awful and it's still all about me, but let me like go pretend to like, feed the homeless or something to make these other people feel better. That said, like, I do think going through the motions, and even if you don't feel like doing it, whatever, feeding the homeless or adopting, a puppy or getting a fucking goldfish, whatever, will help, because the natural process of going through that will kind of force you to care for another living thing, which will kind of force the selfishness out of you, because you have to do things for, the act of doing something for another living thing is in itself kind of a selfless act, really, because you're doing it. Although you could say it's selfish because ultimately you benefit. Anyway, let's not make it too complicated. The point is this: Connor Murphy, you probably won't watch this, but anybody who has his symptoms, you don't want to hear it. I know you want to hear that it's going to be okay and everything's going to be fine, but that's not going to solve your problem. People can say it's okay, suicide is really bad and we should all pay attention to you and make sure that you're all right. And that is true, but the message that needs to be, I would argue, that needs to be sent to people who are experiencing this is that you're feeling like this because you're so focused on yourself and you're not focused on other people. So before you think about doing anything extreme, before you start complaining about how life's not fair and how the world's not fair and how nobody understands you, why don't you put yourself in somebody else's shoes who has things worse than you and go out and actually try to help other people before making it all about you. I'm so sorry to say this, but like, before making it all about you and, making it all about you, bottom line, because that's not going to solve your problem. What's going to actually solve your problem is making it about other people, unironically actually trying to help other people, trying to make the lives of other people better, and removing the focus from yourself to other people, for the simple reason that we as human beings, we will do 100 times more for other people than we would do for ourselves, right? Anybody, I don't want to say anybody, but like, once you can take two identical people, one of them is only working for themselves, only, all of the things they do will only directly benefit themselves. And you take another person whose actions could potentially benefit millions or thousands of people. The one who has the leverage over themselves, that they're helping other people, is the one who will do more, who will work harder, who will also feel better. and will not be as depressed, I would say, because they know that they're helping so many other people and they're focused on helping other people instead of focusing on themselves and thinking about why the world's not fair and why life's not fair and why, they're somehow like wronged in, some cosmic way. Okay, that is my opinion on this. I know it's not a popular opinion. I know the topic of suicide is a very sensitive topic. Nobody wants to say these hard things, because how can you say that, right? It's like, it's very similar to the whole eating disorder things, right? So you have like an anorexic girl, eats 300 calories a day and is so sad and like can't stop talking about her eating disorder. Yes, I understand she is in pain. I understand she feels like she's out of control. I'm saying she, could be a he, right? But like, come on. I understand those things, but the reason she has adopted this identity as a victim is because she is only focusing on herself, or they're only focusing on themselves, right? I have an eating disorder. I've been diagnosed with this. I can't stop doing this, instead of focusing on other people, right? Which is really ultimately the courteous thing to do as a civilized human being. I could talk about this for days, but anyway, those are my opinions on this whole Conor Murphy situation. What do you think about that? Am I a jerk? Do I have no idea what I'm talking about? Or am I on point? Let me know. Leave me a comment. Peace.